Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the WCW Saturday Night Edition for the 25th of November, 1989. Love going through these 1989 episodes just because wrestling is so much better 30 plus years ago, but also because it's stuff that I, up until doing this project, had not seen before. Um, didn't really get into WCW full time until 1992, so anything before that is really enjoyable for me. I like going back through stuff that is kind of first run for me as as a person, as a fan, whatever. So this is the 18th of or the I'm sorry 25th of that month. Taped at Center Stage, 90-minute episode featuring Jim Ross, Kevin Sullivan on commentary, including a promo from Teddy Long regarding Sid Vicious and Danny Spivey being part of the Starcade Iron Team competition, featuring also a Starcade update segment hosted by Gordon Soley. Of course, comments from Lex Luger, including footage of the previous week Rick and Scott Steiner winning the tag team titles, also featuring the announcement of Luger would face Brian Pillman the following evening on the main event, and including footage of Luger recently facing Pillman on the NWA Worldwide, featuring a promo from Luger regarding his recent attacks on Pillman, Sting, and the NWA World Champion Ric Flair, also including Ross conducting an interview with Flair regarding his match with Great Muta later in the show, and facing Luger, Muta, and Sting at Starcade in the Iron Man tournament. The Samoan SWAT team and the Samoan Savage, with Sir Oliver Humperdinck defeating Trent Knight, Mike Ford, and Tim Hughes. Samu pinned Hughes after a headbutt 337. Prior to the bout, Humperdinck cuts an insert promo on his three-man team and challenged any other three-man team to face them. Still hyping the, I guess you'd say, six-man tag team championships at the time, although not really done with a great deal of long-term planning ahead or anything like that. They're just trying to get some form of reaction in there, and it is what it is. As far as that's concerned, it's not anything worth writing home about, but they're still trying to get some sort of regard for all of that mess. And I mean, hey, it is what it is, right? So, Samoan SWAT team and the Samoan Savage are pretty aggressive here. Like I said, 3.5 minutes. Really basic match. Lots of brawling. The Samu fought too, and I believe Samoan Savage's tongue kids. So all three members of the family and the Samoan dynasty continuing well here. Lots of brawling, punch, kick, very basic offense, and the top rope splash get the victory for Sir Oliver Humperdinck's team. Humperdinck not around for a great deal of time, probably here more so because of the Florida nature of the Kevin Sullivan deal. Then we go to a tag team match out next. The New Zealand Militia is here. Jacko Victory is here, and Rip Morgan. The team not exactly seen as a huge deal. However, they're with Lord Littlebrook. Ricky Nelson and Mike Jackson provide their opposition. Morgan pinning Nelson following a double face first suplex. Littlebrook's debut in Morgan Victory's corner. I don't quite understand the team, and even watching this, going back a bit here, I still didn't understand it even after watching it. I'm not really sure what anybody was going for with the team, to be completely transparent, and watching the show week to week, it just felt like a gimmick that never took off. It felt like something that kind of fell flat. They tried it, it didn't work, and it was done with in less than a year. So it's there. It's and it's sad because Jack Victory in World Class. If you haven't checked out our World Class episodes, a pretty big deal. Mike Jackson does get a couple of go arounds and a couple of drop kicks and other basic thing. Mike Jackson, I believe, is still around at 70 years old, or was at least a year or two ago, and just still an amazing talent, as it were. Anyhow, so kind of Rip Morgan comes in, a guy that kind of fades out after this character gimmick over the next year and a half, and I don't know if he was just ready for retirement or if the gimmick soured him on the business or what that is. Jack Victory, of course, goes to various other territories at the time, but clotheslines and all sorts of other basic things. Morgan tries to brawl with his team a little bit in control, and then we go to the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, of course, Legion of Doom, in an enhancement match, getting ready for the wonder that is the Starcade Iron Man Tag Team Tournament, singles and tags, both in Iron Man situation. Doomsday Device giving them a victory here, and ultimately Hawk getting the pinfall. As mentioned, Lex Luger bragging about defeating Sting, taking Ric Flair to the level, defeating Brian Pillman, bragging about being your U.S. champion, and having done the heel thing here at the time. Pretty consistent there. Then we go to woman with Nitron, her bodyguard, and Doom, her tag team. Not quite sure why Doom needs to wear masks and robes, but it's an interesting costume choice to say the very least. They managed to get things going on their general side. The overall run there is that the Road Warriors do also cut a promo post match. They go about 1 minute 20 seconds. Hawk pinning Bronson following the Doomsday Device. Jim Ross conducts an interview basically where the Road Warriors talk about their participation in Starcade Iron Team Tournament against Sid Vicious, Dan Spivey, Doom, and the tag team champions Rick and Scott Steiner. So an interesting foray there. LOD basically says they're still the nastiest team in the world. Doom with Woman and Nitron, defeating Brody Chase and Mike Hart following a slingshot shoulder block off the top rope combo, almost like the Rougeau brothers finish in some regards. A little bit different, but the basic principle still the same. And ultimately, they are not the least bit worried about that, but a lot of brawling from the tandem, and ultimately that's where we go. We see Doom is in pretty consistent control of their fate whenever they step in the ring. At this time, of course, they go into 1990 as a major team, and that continues quite a bit there. Then we go to the run that is Rick Steiner, Scott Steiner, the Steiner brothers, your new tag team champions, having won the championships the previous week on television. So think about this: the Steiner brothers basically coming to WCW earlier in the year, and they're already champions here. Heavy tag team program. Not that that's a big surprise. Of course, the Steiners in an enhancement match, tossing around just about everybody that they want to when they want to. Rick Steiner with a Steiner line, among other things. Scott Steiner with a belly-to-belly suplex that is rivaling virtually nothing and no one, and ultimately tag off from the Steiners, the top rope, kind of a Samoan drop from the top rope by Scott Steiner. The Steiners promise to win at the Starcade, and also they talk about getting rid of Doom, and that Woman is going to be handled and found out. They are your new tag team champions. Hype for the main event the following night is also there. Then we go to another in the series of things, which is a promo from the Midnight Express. Midnight Express basically doing a challenge style match, saying they don't have enough competition. They walk away, and Jim Cornette even says that the Midnight Express going to get rid of the dynamic dudes coming forward. Sting up next. Sting in a enhancement style match here against none other at this point than the masked, I believe is it the Pro that he's facing off against. But Sting, obviously number one contender to the number one contender to the run there. basically the enhancement talents said they're not going to, or Cornette and the Midnight Express said they're not going to wrestle, so they lose by countout. They never even wrestled there. So we then go to the Sting defeating Agent Steel via submission, Scorpion Deathlock, 2 minutes 25 seconds, following a Stinger Splash, punch kick, arm drags, drop kicks, and the Stinger Splash and the Scorpion Deathlock gets Sting the victory here. Buzz Sawyer with Gary Hart defeating Mike Justice with a splash off the top rope, 4:15. During the bout, it's mentioned Sting has left the building to catch a flight. After the bout, Ross conducts an interview with Sawyer and Hart in which Sawyer said that Terry Funk is a quitter and he would die before he personally quit. Hart and J-Tech served to take the title from Flair, and he is bigger than Funk. And so, I mean, Buzz Tyler, certainly a very unique individual, suplexes and a beautiful power slam against Mike Justice here with this run here. And then we see a beautiful match worth going out of your way to see here. Ric Flair defeating the NWA TV champion, the Great Muta, with Gary Hart and the Dragon Master via disqualification around 16 minutes when Dragon Master interferes as Muta is caught in the figure 4 leg lock. And during the bout, it's also announced that Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane would face Shane Douglas and Johnny Ace the following week. After the bout, Flair fights off Dragon Master and locks him in the figure 4 on the floor until Muta sprays him in the face with the red mist. Buzz Sawyer then applies the double team. Flair, moments later, Muta hits the moonsault and Sawyer counted Flair down for the 3. I mean, Flair in this role is tremendous, although Flair, it's obvious, doesn't really like being the babyface, but he plays the role well here nonetheless. Even though he doesn't like it, he makes it work, and we kind of go forward there. Obviously, Flair wanting to go back to his heel ways, and that's not going to be any different. But we kind of go into this match here, and the worth going out of your way to see. Flair and Muta, I'm not sure how many other times they wrestled. I think they might have wrestled one other time other than the tag match at the Clash or something like that. But I don't know that Flair and Muta ever wrestled in Japan. But a worthwhile match going out of your way to see. Flair stays on with the side headlock. Muta tries to roll him over on the shoulder. Very basic offensive maneuvers, but at the same time, super awesome. Muta at the time, well protected. I wish they did that with more talents, as it were, and ultimately Muta comes off tries to come off the top rope. Flair cinches him up in the headlock, and both men jockeying for position. Drop toe holds. Flair takes him over and tries to get submissions. The Muta lock, aka the Indian Deathlock by Muta. Muta has Flair cranked up. Flair, of course, using the figure 4 among other submission style holds. Pretty big deal. Muta stays on the leg for the majority of the match. Really amazing. There's no wasted motion. It's just so much different than what we have now. Muta comes at, and every strike matters. Gary Hart on the outside, very happy with Muta. I'm not sure that J-Tech was going to last a whole bunch longer, or where this was going into the early part of 1990. Muta then also tries to go for modified maneuvers and actually modified leg grab. Flair, though, comes back, manages to get things under control, and ultimately they go out on the floor. Flair ends up hitting a couple of hard shots on the floor. Flair locks on the figure 4 back in the ring, but the interference from none other than Buzz Sawyer manages to get things going. I mean, they go right up to the final bell. Story of the match is both guys working over each other's legs, and a really simple but worthwhile match to go out of your way to see. Flair manages to almost have Muta, but again, the interference is there and continues the feud going forward. We will be back with more right after this.